Ooby-doo, it's everyone's favorite boomer vintage lens enthusiast. And we're going to discuss photo CDs again. Back in 1994. 1994, I went to Philadelphia on New Year's Day to see the Mummers Parade. And I guess I bought 4 rolls of film. Kodak photo CD. Photographic quality images. You know, for a long time I was using the wrong software. Like a lot of software didn't implement the whole photo CD specifications. Like just using this one, I bought I either bought a CD-ROM, a CDR player, recorder, or I bought some sort of graphics card, and it came with software called a CDC. And I was able to read photo CDs, batch convert them to JPEG, but it gave you absolutely no parameters to adjust. There's this, it went from 6 megapixel and only 8 bits. Oh, what the hell is that? So, of course, they look like crap. Unless the photo was perfectly exposed, either the highlights or the shadows were washed out. So I had to delve into it, and my favorite software that works really good now is Easy Convert PCD to JPEG. And it has it has some basic parameters to pick, like what do you want to pull out of the photo CD? So of course I picked the best, and then JPEG, it has you can optimize the Huffman codes and select the quality, which is 100%. Sure, the files are big, but I'm going to crop and resize them anyway, so it doesn't matter. The main thing is that the software I have now lets me pull out 25 megapixel scans at 24-bit color. Oh man, they come out great. These came out great, and you'll see them in the slideshow. It reduced my fiddling time, where I had to manipulate the images. A lot of them, all I had to do is auto-correct the color, or just make some minor adjustments and sharpen it, and boom, I was good to go. Good to go. So Kodak or Kodalux, they were way ahead of the game. You gotta understand, back in like 1994, you know, when you had a 1 megabyte of RAM on your desktop, and if you're lucky, you had 1 megabyte in your graphics card, and you had a 2400 baud modem. Well, you couldn't upload a 25 megapixel picture to the internet. You couldn't. So the lowest resolution, which is like I don't know, it was like 700 by 500 or something stupid like that, was good enough. It was good enough, right? So of course, what is great is if you found, suppose I went to Philly, right? And I was just taking pictures of the crowds. And I came home and I found out that Bigfoot was standing in the corner. I could zoom up on him, see these people in that crowd there. I said, wow, Bigfoot was standing in the crowd. Or say I was randomly taking pictures of a building and a UFO flew by, then you could zoom up on it. You know, it was his claim to fame. So, but now, you know, when you get mirrorless cameras are 20, 25, 40 megapixel, well, these things hold their own. They hold their own. They're really great. This cost me $100. The developing and the scanning and getting this, the thumbnails cost me $100. But it was well worth it, because that was the game back in the day, you know. So at any rate, it's all well to end well. I found the software I needed, and I could do. I'm pulling these all out of the shoe boxes, and you know, because they're all historic, right? This is from 1994, so I'm sure Philly has changed. I really haven't been back since then, you know. So or to the Mummers Parade either. So let's jump into the slideshow and check it out. I think I was using some a point and shoot, or if I was using a 35 millimeter SLR, I might have been using just a 50 millimeter, nothing else. But as usual, I did A and B picture, which is a full frame cropped to 16 by 9 and resized. And then I zoomed up on the area of interest. Now, since there were 25 megapixel scans, even when I did a heavy-duty crop, it could still have been, you know, 3, 4, or 5 megapixels, so I had to resize them to 1920 by 1080, and that's the way it is. Let's go look at some pictures. So it's New Year's Day. It's freaking cold. Look at this guy, how cold it is, right? And people are dressed up in these costumes, or they're pushing these displays down the street. And of course, I'm looking at the buildings. It's all this old ornate stuff. Of course, it all looks run down and grungy now, but it must have been really spiffy when it was new. Yeah, so these people walk up and down the streets, and it goes on all day, from dawn to dusk. Me and the ex-wife went there. We hung out, watched the parade for a while, stopped in some place, had a bite to eat, went outside and looked again, and then scooted home. Where I live, Philly's like 2.5 hours away, but it was worth the trip. I mean, as a once-in-a-lifetime thing to put on your bucket list, it was really cool. And I didn't have a zoom lens or anything. I had a fixed focal length, and that was it. Oh, there were cops around, felt pretty safe. There's the new buildings, old buildings, and in between buildings. And then there's just these weird floats. I don't know what the whole thing is, but you could do whatever you want. Some people had a big giant rat, and it said some politician was a rat, and they walked it down the street. But most people had these whimsical, oh, look at, there's Mr. Policeman from 1994. Most people had these whimsical, look, there's a guy in that window, see him? Right next to the statue. There's a close-up of a guy in a window. Wouldn't you like to have a front row street? Look out a window. I think that was Donald Trump in that window. I can't be sure. So the parade is like on Broad Street, and it goes for miles. It starts all the way down the end, and they would come in batches, and there would be like a big gap, and then more. And, but it was really super cold out. So we hung out as long as we could, knowing that it was a 2.5 hour ride there and a 2.5 hour ride back. So we couldn't hang out all day. I guess, if you're going to shack up in a hotel or something, it'd be great. But, but it was fun. It was really fun. And it was cold. The sun was weak. They had these towering buildings that blocked all the sun's rays. So it was like open shade. That's the white balance I had, open shade. And I got pictures of crowds, everyone milling about and stuff, just gawking at everything. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was really cool. I liked it. But, I was much younger then. It was 1994. It's 2025. So what's that? Well, it'd be 25 years plus 6. 31 years ago. That's scary. That's scary stuff, ain't it? So I guess there's been some urban renewal there, but there's a lot of old quaint buildings, and then you see the new modern stuff in the back. I would recommend going to the Mummers Parade, and they have it rain or shine. It's this thing they go. I took pictures of parking lots because how do you know that parking lot's there not there anymore? And I got a big building blocking the view. So you see, there's smaller buildings in the foreground and bigger buildings in the back, but one day they're going to put a big giant building in the front, and you won't be able to see these views anymore. The Penn Mutual Insurance Company. Wow. There's all this massive, this is Independence Hall. That's where, all those radical anarchists hung out. George Washington, Ben Franklin, all them other guys, right? And they have all this ornate architecture all over. And it's all massive, Greco-Roman, with the pillars, a lot of sculptures. I mean, I wish I had a better equipment with me, and I wish I had more time to hang out. But, it was a New Year's Day, and, you got to go back to work on the 2nd or whatever. So we couldn't hang out too long. But I really liked it. And, they had this historic district from the Revolutionary War, and then they had more modern stuff, probably from the 1800s and early 1900s, up until 1994, that there's new construction going up. And they had ornate, accents like this, a brass eagle, It's just, it's different than New York City. In some ways it was the same, but in other ways it was different. It had snowed sometime before, but most of it had melted, luckily. And but it was really, really cold. That's all I remember. It was really cold, really cold. So you go there. You want to take pictures of the environment. Get the lay of the land, document what it was like back in the day. And they got the ultra modern right next to oh, here's Independence Hall again. I guess they were fixing the tower, and I wonder if they have to fix it again after 30 years or so. But that was something. Oh, here's a guy. He's checking me out, checking him out. But he's just a handsome cat. Oh, the Liberty Bell. Check this out. Yeah, the Liberty Bell. And then I was taking a lot of pictures, so Mr. Ranger came over, and I politely listened to his stories, and they were interesting about how people hated the Liberty Bell because they always ring early in the morning and get people up. Here's some tram you could take through the historic district. I asked him, I said, was it more valuable before it got cracked or after it got cracked? And he looked at me strangely. There's a building sort of like this in New York City. So I wonder if the same architect did it. I'll have to look into that. Market Street. They have all the same names. Broad Street, Market Street, So they hung these red stripes on the side of a building for accent. Oh, these were 25 megapixel scans, and my software was able to pull. Look at the weird distortion I had on this camera lens. So I had the 24 megapixel, and there's another thing. The scanners have a profile. The scanners that Kodak use. A lot of this cheap software doesn't have that profile, and it makes the pictures all come out funky. But this thing has some sort of profile in it, and everything snapped right in. Unbelievable. It's just fantastic, The photo CDs were ahead of their time, way ahead of their time. It was just an amazing technology. And here we are, 31 years later, and you could still pull these pictures out and get really excellent results. Scanners were really expensive back in the day. A good scanner was close to $1,000. I still have a scanner, some Minolta scanner. I guess I should set up one of my old boxes and maybe start rescanning. See, they're doing construction, so this building must be done by now. I don't think it takes 3 years to put up a building. But the Kodak, they had this wide dynamic range, and it was really great. I gotta admit, I was upset because I was using the wrong software, but now I'm using the right software. I love these things. And picture CDs have the same, it's called Base 64. It's 25 megapixels. Give it to me. I want it. So it was better than the film and the camera lens I was using back in the day. Although when I got a real SLR and some good lenses, it's pretty equally matched, really, And I wish I had a zoom lens while I was there. But just think, I have one lens, and a lot of these are heavy-duty crops at a 25 megapixel picture. And that's about the limit. I could have went a little bit further, but the image was starting to break up. And as you enhance it, you also enhance the film grain also. So you got to keep that in mind too. And I wish I could have stayed out longer, but I don't know if I think I ran out of film too. You go somewhere with 4 rolls of film, that's like 100 pictures, and it's not like you have a 64 gigabyte memory card and you can put 1,000 pictures on. But that's what it was like back in 1994. Everything was ornate, and it now looks a little run down and shabby looking. This, my camera was picking, since it was a programmed camera and there's nothing I could adjust, it would pick the widest aperture and the slowest shutter speed. So these people were moving even very slowly, and there's still motion blur. Even if you look at people's feet, their bodies may be captured sharply enough, but their feet were moving enough to be blurry. I didn't understand what a lot of floats were. It looks like he's got a missile and a baseball bat. Everyone loved these robots. There's 4 of them, I think, and they're walking down the street, and everyone really liked that. I don't understand that this is something from Star Trek, some alien creatures from Star Trek. people in the cage dressed up as some weird birds and stuff. It's just all sorts of crazy stuff all over. And that's why I liked it. It was really cool. I highly recommend that you should go to the Members Day Parade on New Year's Day in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Oh, and if you ever see any photo CDs like a garage sale, snap them up, and maybe there's some good stuff on it.